I have the great privilege and honor of knowing for many years and consider a good friend. Brad is one of the top realtors in the country. He's been selling well over 100 sites in real estate for the last 10 years plus consecutively, and is probably one of the top coaches. Brad's been with the Maximum Acceleration coaching team since, I believe, 2007, and has come to be one of our great coaches because he really does bring both sides to the table. He, having been a top agent and still being a top agent, has a great insight into the mind of the agent and what we need to do as originators to collaborate with agents better and become a true business development partner to them. One of Brad's main areas of expertise is in automating the communication processes. As the 8x8 33 Touch, Brad is a master faculty member with Keller Williams, has been for about 15 years. And is a great presenter, no less. And with that, today's program is really going to be about how to use your holiday downtime to reconnect with clients, clean up your database, and make things move to the next level. So without further ado, Brad, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Hey guys, welcome to the call today. Brad Korn here. Man, this is truly a pleasure for me to have this opportunity to spend the next 30 minutes with you to share one of my passions and what's really helped me become and run a successful real estate company. And what is so great about this information and why I love sharing it with our Max Excel followers is that it can be used for any industry. And if you've been on any of my webinars in the past, we've talked about how to really turn your database into a gold mine. And today we're actually going to pull out one piece of this process, and it is really the first step of reconnecting with your database. The follow-up systems that most people use are automated email systems where you just have something blasting out emails. As you all know, I mean, if you do any kind of email drip system at all, it's not probably getting the results that you had hoped it would when you signed up for that or got that system in place. Now, it's not to say that those systems don't work. It's just that we have moved into a new world of marketing, and it's getting back to the personal touch. Technology has really lost that piece, that personal touch, and we're still human. Human beings have feelings. They feel good about people. They trust. Trust is a feeling. So as we move back into this world of, relationships, what I'm going to share with you guys today is how to take advantage of the next few months and truly get your database, get reconnected with your database. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to learn some quick, easy steps to basically get back into relationship with people in your database. Now, when I talk about get back into relationship, I'm going to put it into perspective for you. Right now, how many people do you have in your database? How many of those people in your database know who you are, or they were past clients that you've done a mortgage for, or whatever, even a previous career you might have been in? And what I would ask you is, have you talked to every single contact in your database in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks? And if the answer is no, then this system today is going to allow you to take the next several months and really connect with them and get reconnected with them, I should say, so you can put them on a more consistent follow-up plan. So today what we're going to talk about is just get the phone ring again. It's basically to make that phone start ringing again in 2013. The way you're going to do that is by staying in touch with people more consistently and persistently. Your database is truly a gold mine. People love working with people they know, like, and trust. We're going to talk about these 4 simple steps to really get this thing cranked back up. And then the most important thing is really about automating the process, because I live by a little motto that I figured out, and it is, if I have to remember to do something, it is not going to happen, most likely. So I talked to somebody today, had a great conversation, and I need to follow up with them in 2 weeks. I mean, what the heck is going to happen between now and 2 weeks that's going to get me off track, or fires that are going to happen? And if I'm just relying on my memory or just a note somewhere to call this person, you guys know it doesn't happen. So what we're going to talk about is automating it. So what I call this is winterizing your business. It's not even really, it's winter now, But what I mean by winterizing your business is taking the winter months, December, January, February, while everybody thinks that nothing's happening, take these months to really get into the right habits so that you can kill it in 2013. And here's the cool thing. If you start right now, I promise you, if you do this every single day and build the right habit to get into production right away and start connecting with your database, you might find some new deals here by the end of the year. And I know Christmas is coming up. That week between Christmas and New Year's, we all say is a dead week. But I'm telling you, more people are home during the holidays and during that time around that week, and all you're doing is touching base with people. So you can find business to either finish out 2013, but really what you're going to do is make your January, February, and March just absolutely start skyrocketing. So one of the things we need to talk about on this topic is what business are you really missing? And in our databases, we do business with people. The whole transaction goes well. You have a good experience. And then go back to what I had you think about earlier. How many people in your database have not physically talked to you in person or on the phone and had a conversation with them in the last 3-4 weeks? So what happens is when people are thinking of somebody, it's like, oh my gosh, we should refire. Oh my gosh, the rates just went down. If you're not the first person they think of, then you're missing business. Now, one of the statistics that I tracked all this off of and built this plan around was basically from a real estate side of things, and I don't know if the mortgage industry has really tracked this result. Definitely something I need to check with Erik on, or if you guys know of anything, you can shoot me an email. I'll give you all my information later. But in real estate, when you go on a listing appointment, 69, which now it's actually about 72, 73% of all sellers will talk to one real estate agent before they list their house. Another 18 or 19% will talk to two. So when you look at that, that's almost like 92% of the time sellers will talk to one or two agents and list their house. The reality is it's the same thing in the mortgage industry. People don't just start calling through a Rolodex of 10 loan officers or originators to figure out, their mortgage site. They'll either call their realtor, if that's the one realtor they think of, and say who do they use, or the realtor will recommend somebody, or they've done great business with somebody in the past. They know who their mortgage is with, and they'll just call the office. So what you want to do is make sure that you are the person that they attach to that financial spot in their brain, and that's what we're actually going to talk about here. This Reconnect plan, what it will do is it'll get you back in that #1 spot so that you're the one that they think of. It's the same thing with doctors, dentists, all that stuff. I mean, when they have a great experience, now those industries don't do a great job of staying in touch with people. They don't do branding, but it's like a doctor is pretty serious. So the mortgage and the real estate industry, we have to brand ourselves, buy those brain cells, and be the first person they think of. So I'm going to play a little branding game. We didn't get to do this on the last webinar, but this is really the power of why this system will work so well. And if you follow these 4 simple steps, and then go back and listen to our other webinar on how you can stay in touch with people more consistently and persistently, that's step 2. When you do these processes together, you will be the brand they think of. So I've got a brand up here right now. If I give you a product, I want you to think of as many brands as you can think of right away. So when I say tennis shoes, most people immediately, if they just started rattling off brands, will say Nike, Reebok, Adidas, Puma, however that goes. Okay, so now I want you guys to play a little game here. I'm going to show you the next one. Potato chips. What brands are you thinking of right now? What's that?
Use the communication tools that this new platform gives us, guys. Go ahead and post these answers in chat.
Well, and here,
across here in the chat box.
Yeah, and that's great to do that, so you guys can see what everybody's thinking. Your first thought, okay? And I want to recap this. I want you to pay attention to what's happening in your own mind, though. All right, and then the next one, I'm going to say toothpaste. Now, as many brands as you can think of, toothpaste. Okay, here's what I want to talk about on this. When I said tennis shoes, I would say 95% of you probably said Nike first in your head. Some of you might have said Reebok or whatever, and they did lose a little positioning, but they got up to that number 2 spot. Potato chips, I would bet 90% of you said Lay's. I would bet on toothpaste, 90% of you said Colgate or Crest. So what you need to do and what you want to do in your business is become the Nike, the Lay's, and the Crest in the mind under the mortgage officer, loan originator. You want that. Well, actually, here's the cool thing. You guys get the whole financial spot. Anything that has to do with money, you take over that whole spot of the brain. I've watched it happen. I've coached originators to do this spot. You get financial planning, you get finances, you become the brand that has to do with anything in financing. Now, you can also do this when you're targeting real estate agents for their business. You want to be the first originator that they think of when they need to do a loan. And so you're going to do the same thing with all the real estate agents that you've got relationships with. And what's really cool, guys, the real estate agents haven't all figured this out either. They're doing exactly what everybody else is doing, blast emails, blast postcards to get more business as quickly as possible. You are in a position where if you manage your database properly and you buy these brain cells and you become the brand, we can show you how to take over their database, add it to your database, become a partner with them, and grow their business exponentially. I've done it with coaching clients that are originators, and a lot of people think, what realtor is going to give me their database? Well, one that you have a relationship with. I guarantee you they will give you your database if you're going to help their business grow. So here's how this whole thing works, this branding thing works. We're basically playing a game, and we're trying to move everybody into the bullseye. Now, general public out there, this is not really something I see a lot of originators doing a whole bunch of marketing on. But this is like back page of real estate book ads. For realtors, it's signs in yards. If you got billboards, if you got moving trucks, all that stuff, that's prospecting and marketing. You're trying to get your image out there so that somebody will pick up the phone and call you. The next ring in is a target group, and this could be a couple different things for you guys. It could be a target group of realtors in a particular office, a target group of realtors at a particular volume, or maybe you're targeting refi business. There's lots of different targeted groups that you do direct marketing to, whether that's direct mail or whether it's direct emails, but you have a directed plan trying to, this is your traditional marketing. You want an awesome headline that grabs their attention, and you want an incredible call to action so that these people will pick up the phone and call you. Once that phone picks up and they call you, you move into the inner ring, which is the MET group. Now, what I'm going to suggest is that you guys work this bullseye from the inside out over the holidays. Stop waiting for everyone to call you because you have to send out 1,000 pieces of headlines and call to actions and anything to get just a handful of people to call you. If you haven't figured it out, most of the programs and most of the marketing that you've applied over your career didn't quite work out as well as you'd hoped it would, right? And it's a lot of mass blast marketing. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but I do live by a motto. This is another motto you can write down. If you've been on any of our previous webinars with me, you've heard me say it. If it's easy, it's not going to work. And I clarify that by saying if it's easy, it's not going to work as well as I'd hoped it would. And I know you guys have done blast emails and blast campaigns, and it does work. You pick up some business, just not at the level you had hoped it would. When you send out 1,000 postcards to a neighborhood for a refi, you're hoping that 100 of them at least will call you back, but you're lucky if you get 10 to call you back and 2 to do business with you. That's just the way that shakes out. So you can see over here on the right of your screen, it shows the payout. It's a 12-to-2 return if you put somebody on an 8x8 and a 33 touch, which is a more consistent, persistent drip. That's like hitting somebody 8 times in 8 weeks and then 33 times a year, and you're mixing it up and you're automating it so that it's an email one week, it's a letter the next week, it's a postcard the week after that, it's a phone call after that, it's another letter, another email, a to-do for you to touch them on a social media site and just leave a personal message. The 12 direct plan, which is what we're all used to, and we try and get to the masses of the people so we can help as many people as possible, is always going to be a 50-to-1 ratio. Now, that's through studies. That is through consistent, persistent, monthly drip. I will tell you the reality that I've seen is it's lucky if it's a 0.5% return. So this shows at about a 2% return, and that's if you do it for a long period of time, like 10 years. You will start to see a 2% return on mass mailing. So if you look at these numbers, realistically, 12 to 2 versus 50 to 1. If I take 50 people and I do a mass mailing, over time I'm going to get one piece of business. Now look at the 12 to 2. If I take the same 50 people and I focus on 5 a day to really get into relationship with them, 12 to 2 ends up being 6 times more business from the same 50 people. Did you guys hear that? By focusing on 5 a day and getting into relationship with 5 people today, 5 people tomorrow, 5 people the next day, it would take me 10 days to get through 50 people. If I took those 10 days and invested back into a relationship-based marketing plan, I'm going to get 6 times more business. So again, we're going to talk more about 8x8s and 33 touches. There's a webinar that we did, I think it was about a month ago, Eric, that I guess at the end of the call here when I jump off, will you tell everybody how to access some of the past webinars?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, cool. So here's the automated process. And guys, here's what this is all about. It's really about focusing on 5 a day, picking up the phone, starting at the A's, and calling 5 people a day. Now, I'm going to show you the automated process first, because when you start thinking about this logistically, the fact of calling 5 people today, 5 people tomorrow, 5 people the next day, 5 people the next day, and I do this for the next 3 months, do you realize in 3 months you will have personally touched 300 people in your database? If your database is 300 to 500 people, you will have touched every single one of them in a personal conversation. And I'm going to throw in, add a note. We're going to talk about this plan here. But you'll have touched them all by summer when everybody starts moving again. So here's what a typical Reconnect plan looks like, okay? A Reconnect letter is a letter that goes out, and the way I set these automated plans up, in most CRMs, you have a campaign or an action plan built into it somewhere where you can tell it, I want to create a series of events, and I want them to happen at certain days. Now, I'm going to tell you, here's one thing. This is a little trick that we play with ourselves to feel good about automated plans. Some of your campaigns and some of your CRMs will allow you to do a series of events, but it won't kick out the next event until the first one's done. I am going to really, truly caution you on using the advanced one. And you don't have to agree with me. If you can make it work, you can make it work. But what I found is if I get into the 5 a day focus, if I have that plan stopping and I have to remember to go look for it to see who's not on it, I can tell you right now it's not going to happen. So what I do is I create it to where it just happens. You can see right here, the letter goes out, and then 5 days later it tells me to make a phone call, and 6 days later it tells me to set them up on the next plan. And actually that just a note card for mailing that goes in the letter. That's actually day 5 as well. It happens along with the phone call. I don't know why my plan says 1 day. But what happens is a letter goes out, prints out on my printer automatically. I put 5 letters in an envelope and mail them. And then 5 days from now, it's going to pop up on my computer and say, make a call, and there's going to be a to-do to just write a note card following the call. And so my computer system now keeps me on track to stay focused on what really matters in my business, which is my database, because your database is a gold mine. And then the next day it will pop up and say, okay, now that you've sent the letter, you made the call, and you sent the note, and I checked them off because I did them, now I got to set them up on the next plan. And the next plan is to stay in touch with them very consistently, way more than you ever have in the past. What we know is 8 times in 8 weeks will move you into the Nike, the Lay's, and the Crest position of the brain for finance or for money or whatever. Now, those 33 touches throughout the year after those first 8 weeks keeps you there. If you back off to a 12-month mailer or a quarterly mailer after you've done an 8x8 or 8 touches in 8 weeks after doing this Reconnect, you will start to slip back to the number 2 spot or the number 3 spot over time. So the studies have shown that somewhere around every 12 to 13 days they get something from you. The more you mix it up, the better. And the more you add personal touches, which take time. I understand they take a lot more time, but that time gets you a 10 times return versus anything easy like a letter or an email, because easy doesn't work, okay? It doesn't work as well as you want it to. So there's a way bigger return. How are we doing on time, Erik? Got about 5 more minutes?
Yeah. Well, actually, there's one thing I was going to jump in there, by the way, guys. If you're a loan originator, these phone calls are also a great opportunity to mine for referrals, which is, you make that personal touch, and then it's easy for you to talk about how to, and we've talked about that in previous webinars as well, but don't forget about the opportunity to ask who they know that might be in a position to benefit from the incredible market we're in right now. Other than that, Brad, we're doing great. Keep right on rolling here. We're going to be to Q&A in about 8 minutes.
Okay, I am so glad you brought that up, Erik, because I skipped over that. That 12-to-2 ratio that you see on the right of your screen. 12-to-2 means for every 12 people that I really reconnect with, put on a more aggressive, consistent, persistent drip system, here's the 12-to-2 return. For every 12 people I put on that plan as you move into that Nike Lays and Crest spot, the 2 is 1, they will do business with you, and 2, they will refer you. And where the magic happens is that when you become the Nike Lays and the Crest, and if somebody says something about finances and your name flashes or your face flashes in their mind, they're like, oh my gosh, you got to call Erik Janeczko. He is awesome. He can definitely help you with a refi. That's where the magic really starts to happen when you become that Nike Lays and Crest. It's the first thing they think of. So guys, when you do this Reconnect plan, I'm telling you, when I said you can pick up some extra business yet this year, you could really, truly, if you do 5 a day, every single day, without fail, don't take any days off except the holidays and a couple days around it, but if you literally take these weekdays, the remaining working days of the year, and just make calls touching base with people, I'm telling you, you're going to find business, or they're going to be around family over the holidays, and you have just called them, and you just dropped a handwritten note in the mail. We're going to talk about these 2 things and how to do them masterfully. But when you do those things, if anybody says anything about mortgage or real estate or anything over the holidays, we're the ones they're going to think of. So let's go back to the plan. The first step was send a letter. Now, this is actually a way that I tricked myself into actually doing this, because I'm no different than anybody else. Picking up the phone and reconnecting with old clients I haven't talked to in years is one of the hardest things to do. So this letter, what it basically says is, hey, I'm compelled, you don't even have to start it out, I'm compelled to share a life-changing experience. You could change this. The holiday letter that we'll send out to you guys as a sample is going to say something along the lines of, hey, it's the holidays. It's time we get with family and friends and be around those that we enjoy being around. Well, what happened was I thought of you. I really enjoyed working with you in the past, and now you jump into the rest of this letter where it says, and I have to apologize for not keeping in closer touch with you. I realize that our business comes from people who like us, know us, and trust us, and I just have not done a great job of keeping in touch. So you go down to the very bottom of the letter, the second to last line, right above sincerely. This is the part I want you to see, and do not change this in your letter no matter what it says above. I will be contacting you in the next few days just to touch base. Now, the reason why you don't take this out of the letter is it is your accountability to pick up the phone and make the call. Guys, what would that be like if you sent out a letter to a past client you haven't talked to in a year or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, and your letter says, P.S., I'm going to call you in the next few days, and then you don't do it? The best accountability you can give yourself is tell them you're going to call and then call. And here's what's really cool, too. When you pick up the phone and you call them, I'm going to actually give you permission to not even talk about loans. Use this opportunity. The reason it's called a Reconnect plan is it uses this opportunity just to reconnect. Where do they live? Are they still in the same house? How old are their kids now? Do they pets? What have they been doing for fun? Just reconnect, because this is where the relationship can start again, And then when you put them on an 8 times an 8-week drip system, you will not get the call that you think you're going to get that says, take me off your mailing list. I haven't heard from you in years. It won't happen. It has never happened when you do this system, when you follow the Reconnect plan first. So after you send the letter, 3 days later it pops up on your computer screen. It's all automated to pick up the phone and call them, and then it's even automated that same thing 5 days, not 1 day in my plan. Did I send the handwritten note? I'm going to spend 1 second on the handwritten note. Here's how you write a powerful note. Make the note about them, all about them. And when I say that, try not to use the words I, me, or my in the note, okay? And if you look at this sample note here, this is not happy holidays and your signature, okay? Recap your conversation. You know, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Now, it doesn't say, I'm so glad I picked up the phone and called you today. It says, it was a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for picking up the phone. It was great to hear your voice. It's great to hear the family's doing so awesome. So glad that we connected during the holidays. Now, that says we in there, but, you know, as you write these notes, guys, try to write it without I, me, or my. So make the note about them, recap their conversation. Here's a great way to do it. Talk about their personality. Your energy on the phone is contagious. It's easy to see why people like to hang around you during the holidays or hang around you, period, whatever. Okay, the other thing is I know actually when the mail leaves. I know all the times. I'm really ticked off that our post office took out the 10 a.m. delivery time. All they've got is 2:30 or 2:45 and 5:30 right now. Really ticks me off because if I make a call in the evening after 5, it's not going out of the mailbox until 2:45 the next day. I love it when they get these handwritten notes in their mailbox within a day or two of us talking. So here's what you do. Design your plan on paper. It's 4 simple steps: a letter, a call, a note, and then set them up on the next plan. And don't worry about what the next plan is yet, guys. Take 5 a day right now and start calling. Call 5 people today. Start at the A's and just call through. Send the letters out. I guess you got to send the letter out first. You'll be making calls 5 days from now. But send that letter out. Get that letter in place. Don't worry about the follow-up plan yet. It's a process that you'll go through. So I do tell coaching clients when they're first starting this, if it takes, you know, if you call 5 a day for this week and next week and the following week, you've called 50 to 75 people. You've connected with them and you've written them a note. If you don't have those 75 people on some kind of follow-up plan 3 weeks from now, who really cares? You've already done tons more than you did before you just made the call and wrote the note, right? So you are doing the right things. Now you can take the time to build a great follow-up plan that has a lot of different touches in it. Look at this. What's that plan look like? No more than 7 emails, okay? The more personal touches you can add, the higher return on investment you're going to get out of it. Guys, just remember, if it's easy to do, it's not going to work like you want it to. So those letters and emails in between your phone calls are just the link to keep you in front of them so that when the phone rings again, and like on a 33 touch, I call them every quarter. And then I touch them on social media in between each of those quarterly calls. So they actually get 8 personal touches from us throughout the year. All the other things in that 33 touch, just keep us linked to them so that when the phone rings or they see my post come over online, it's like I'm top of mind awareness. And they'll actually read it versus just being a call out of the blue. So phone calls, drop-bys, I'm telling you, it will amplify your business tenfold. So I know we blew through this information really quick, but I want to leave enough time to answer questions and really help you guys understand this process so that you can go through and truly just focus on 5 a day. Now, if you set up an action plan, if you understand campaigns and action plans in your contact management system and you can create that simple plan, here's what I would challenge you to do. You want to have a killer business? Go through your database from A to Z over the holiday week between Christmas and New Year's. And I'm doing it right now, going through my entire database, contact by contact, seeing what plans we got them on, making sure our information is correct, making sure that people haven't gotten divorced since our last contact. And I go through that week of the database. So what I would challenge you to do is start at the A. When you get this plan created, start at your first A and put the first 5 on it, starting this plan today. And then put the next 5 A's on it starting tomorrow, and the next 5 B's starting 3 days from now, and the next 5 B's starting 4 days from now, and the next 5 C's starting 5 days from now. You go through your database A to Z, make everybody on the plan so you can't turn it off, and you will be focused on what you need to be focused on to make 2013 a killer, killer business.
You know, guys, okay, so as Brad has shared some great information with you, I'm sure you guys have a bunch of questions. Some of the first ones that have come across, by the way, you guys do have the option of posting both privately or if you want to send your question to all, we'll be able to see those questions. So as people are getting started, I'm going to go ahead and start going over some of the questions here that have been posted already. One of the quick questions was, Brad, what database or contact management system are you using? And sort of a follow-up or along the same lines, what do you recommend for loan officers?
Great. That's a great question. And I'm going to have you throw in some suggestions too, Eric, because I know you know that industry too. So here's what my suggestion for my coaching clients in the mortgage industry was actually to get a top producer account. I'm not saying here, actually, let me back up. Here's the real answer. The database that you will use, that you will add 5 people to every single day and open up every day and use, is the one you actually need to use. It doesn't matter what brand it is. The only stipulation I will put on that is when you're looking at campaigns, and as much as you may not agree with this when you hear it the first time, my campaigns need to allow me to print to my own personal printer, okay? That's the one thing that if I have a letter come up on a campaign or a plan, can I print it to my printer with a one click of a button? Because what happens is on a 33 touch, for example, 18 of those touches are actual letters that print out throughout the year, okay? I want that, like somebody may be on touch 12 and another person's on touch 18 and another person's on touch 27. And I just want all those letters to print in the order with the labels the way they are. Now, here's where that sounds contradictory, because we can't be spending time doing non-productive activity. Guys, this is touching your database on a consistent, persistent basis. My experience has been that an assistant who is working to process loans for you or whatever they're doing, this will be the least important thing that they think they need to get done. They don't understand the power of the drip and becoming Nike, Lay's, and Crest. You can't even just go out and hire somebody to be a great management of your database because they don't understand this concept yet of really persistent, consistent drip. So it doesn't mean you can't have them do it. But when those letters print out, what it gives you the option to do, like, for example, we have 127 letters print one day, Eric, and I just flip through the letters and I see who the letter's to. And out of 127 letters, I will see about 5 to 10 letters that it's like, oh, John and Susie, I just bumped into them at a function last night. And I'll scribble a little note on that actual form letter that's going out that just says, hey, it's been a few weeks since we talked, you know. But I'll jot a little note, and I call it trashing the letter. I'll just trash that letter down at the bottom. P.S., hey, it was great seeing you guys last week. So I'll trash about 5 to 10 letters every batch that goes out. If I have team members who also touch these people, they get to trash the letter. So they're getting a real personal touch from our team at any given moment. So that's my personal thing. I have to be able to print it to a printer. I don't want it to go to a bulk mail house because that's easy. And I live by a motto that if it's easy, it's not going to work. So I just live by that. Now, it does create some extra work, but the harder, the more difficult it seems to do where you have to touch and do more things, the bigger return you get. Does that answer? So, okay, so let me talk about database. Top Producer is one that I've suggested to coaching clients in the past because the campaigns are totally customizable. When you do that, it's a real estate-based database. So you're going to be recreating some drip systems completely from scratch in Top Producer. I know there's other things like What's the one that we've seen around that's got a great follow-up system, Erik? Infusion, is it Infusionsoft?
Well, Infusionsoft is a good one for automated marketing and email marketing. It's not probably the best for as far as drip mail and stuff like that. There's two really good systems that we work off of, or that we recommend for those of our members who are on our coaching system. Part of the coaching subscription includes subscription to MSS products, including the Platinum Pro marketing system, which does have a behind-the-scenes print fulfillment system in play, and you can have those send to you so they clutter up your inbox so that your assistant can scrub through and print them manually as those drip systems come out. So you can do what you call trashing the letter. I love that. The other option is a system called Mortgage Planner CRM, which is built off of the Salesforce platform. There's going to be some new developments with Mortgage Planner CRM in the not-too-distant future, which I think has some great potential to it. By the way, one of the things that, and this is kind of a follow-up to that follow-up, is one of the other questions that came across here is, to talk a little bit about your 33 Touch and what you used for 33 Touch and what tools and resources our callers or our attendees here today can use for their 33 Touch. Where do you get your content for your 33 pieces?
That is an awesome question. Whoever posted that needs to get kudo points, because this is where we lose most people that put this plan together. First thing, 33 sounds very overwhelming. Guys, can I be totally, like 100% brutally honest with you on what pieces you need to send to get the most results? Anything. The content itself, believe it or not, does not matter. Now, I'm telling you that from personal experience, and I know that conflicts with what you may be thinking right now. If you have a client who has contacted you about doing a refi, I may have a 33 Touch that really revolves around refi. But here's the thing. When I'm focused on 5 a day, in the real estate world, the average person moves every 5 to 10 years, right? So all I'm focused on is meeting and starting 5 relationships a day. And when I have a consistent follow-up plan, my 33 Touch is chicken soup from the soul stories. That doesn't even have anything to do with real estate most of the time. I've got some real estate now. I'd say like every 5th letter, it does drive them back to my website for find out what your property is worth or do a property search. So you can drive them back to your website every 3 or 4 letters. That's going to be every month or 2. You're driving them back, but the stuff in between is just a little connector till my next phone call or till my next personal touch. And here's the stipulation I put on. When I said 5 a day, if you thought what I originally thought was, holy crud, how am I going to find 5 people that want to do something with a mortgage today, every day, for the rest of my career? You're not. But how often does somebody refi their home in between ownership? So realtors get a person once every 10 years. You probably get them 3 times every 10 years doing something with their mortgage, I would imagine. Are there numbers that track that, Erik, how often somebody does something with their mortgage during their home ownership?
Yeah, especially over the last 10 years. I mean, the issue has been over the last 10 years that we've been through. I quit counting after like 13 of just sequential increases in decreases in rates that created the next refi boom. I mean, we just been refi boom after refi boom after refi boom, for like 9 years straight here. And so I think the average life of a mortgage based on the last market report I saw was something like 29.5 months. So yeah, I mean, there's a recycling opportunity, but don't forget about the fact that people's lives change. I mean, the biggest area to find needs for opportunities, and this goes a little deeper than just the basic reconnect, retouch, get back into top of mind awareness. If you want to actually do some in-depth database mining, the best way to look for it is to dig deeper into the needs that people have that create a change to their housing situation needs. And what I mean by that is when you've got a client who's been renting the last 5 years in the same apartment, has got a good stable job, he's paying $1,000 a month in rent. That's $60,000 in 5 years that went down literally somebody else's toilet. and it's the people who are most likely to benefit from the current housing opportunity that are least likely to be aware of it, because they tend to be the more conservative. Another good example is the couple that that outgrew their house 4 or 5 years ago, but they haven't moved yet because they're thinking about the budget of the next size up house based on what money cost on a monthly basis when interest rates were 6.5% when they bought their house in 2006. They're not thinking about their purchase power now that interest rates are in the mid-threes, and how many families could upgrade and add that extra 1,000 square foot or that extra, extra bedroom, extra half bath, and have little or no change and maybe even a reduction in their mortgage payment.
Okay, so guys, what you just heard Erik say, here's today's deal. You reconnect with people, make the call, 5 a days, write the note, create that 8x8 and that 33 touch. In that are 8 personal touches. You want to know which plan to put people on? Get them on the phone and just have conversations with them. Hey, what's going on lately? Oh, the kids are in college. What are you doing about that? Are you guys doing okay? You got your plan in place? That'll tell you who needs a college fund or who's renting, and this is the coolest part, is that we can put specific programs in place to tailor to what they're doing. So I may have just a generic 33 touch running, and one of my calls pops up, and somebody says, wow, it's weird that you actually called us today because we just found out we're getting relocated to the other side of Kansas City. Okay, so now they're going to go off that 33 touch plan. I will stop that plan, and I'll put them on my moving in the next 6-month plan. And the coolest part about this is, are you guys planning on getting out of the mortgage industry in 2013? Is this your last year? Because if you're not getting out this year and you're not getting out next year, and you actually would like this to become a solid business career that you can live and have an incredible life from for the next 10, 15, 20 years, and even with tapped into this group, and I mean MSS and all that stuff, you learn how to build teams. It can run even beyond that, and you can live off your team forever. Then start getting in touch with people now, and you can build those plans year after year after year, the ones that you need. Don't get caught up in the content. What's more important than anything else is the personal touch. That's why it's got a 10 times return.
I love that. I love that. A quick little rhyme came to mind. Don't get caught up in the contact. Don't get caught up in the content. Make the contact.
Oh, that's awesome, Erik. I love that.
Thank you, bud. All right, so guys, we're going to migrate a little beyond the. We're winding up close to the end of the hour. We make the promise that, in these formats, we try and keep these sessions very, very tight. We do want to make sure we follow up with you on any of the questions. Continue to post your questions. There's been a couple of others that we haven't had time to get to. Maybe if we have a little leftover time since we started just a hair late, we can hit a couple of these right at the tail end of the program. But Brad, you had some special offers for everybody and some opportunities to go a little bit deeper with this idea and how to really get this rolling in your business at a massive level.
Well, this was just a site that, as I go around and talk about this, I've been sharing this information for the last 7 years. This is just a free site for you guys. There's nothing to sign up for. There is a registration page, but I want you to know that what that happens is when you fill in your name and your email address, you will want to put your accurate email address in there, because when you hit submit, it takes you to a website that has all kinds of stuff on this database stuff. It has the 8x8 webinar that I've done in the real estate industry, which all you have to do, if you see one of my real estate webinars, every time I say realtor, just think loan originator, okay? It's the same exactly. You could be a shoe repair person and watch that webinar and own your industry. But there's going to be a whole resource, the Reconnect letter, what the action plans look like, several webinars that talk about this content that you can watch over and over until you really grasp it and do it, okay? Again, it's doing it, but that's just a free, that's just something I have available when I talk about this. It's the easiest way to get you the resources to figure out how to make that work. So that website is makethephonerinagain.com, and you'll find some information out there. So that's just a free resource for you guys. And also, I don't know if you want to talk more about this, Erik, but one of the things at Maximum Acceleration that I love about this coaching group is that this is not about us being a coach and being on some pedestal. This is really, truly about you, our clients, everything. And we even offer just a free session to sit down and experience like what a coaching call is like. So for example, one of the things that would be available for everybody on this call, if you like what you heard and you have more questions about it, we can take 15 minutes and take you through a sample session and experience what that call would be like what's my next step? It was an awesome webinar. How do I really get this started? Guys, experience it. We're offering it because we want you to see what coaching can do to help you. And like I said, if I have to remember to do it, it's not going to happen. So here's how slow I am. I have 3 coaches in my life to help me stay moving forward in my businesses. I have to have 3 coaches. Now, this is not a big sales pitch for coaching, but I'm telling you, having that accountability to yourself is, you're not going to hold yourself accountable. It's just not going to happen. I mean, if you do figure out a way, please let me know. I may need to hire you for a coach, right? But you have this opportunity for a session to sit down and experience, okay, what do I need to do first? And all you got to do is contact us and let us know, and we'll work through all that. And that could be with any of the coaches. Every coach in this group knows how to make a plan like this work. So anyway, that's available for you guys.
Well, and guys, just so you know, the proof's in the pudding. I mean, Brad, you have the kind of business that I'm still working towards myself personally, which is, guys, I mean, keep in mind that Brad works in his real estate business probably about 4 hours a week, literally. I mean, he's doing conferences, he's doing training programs all over the country, and yet he still manages to do, he and his team manage to do over 100 transactions a year. And I almost guarantee you, and I know for a fact, Brad, you can tell me whether I'm crazy here, but I know based on our numerous conversations that a big part of that was the guidance and support and accountability that you got from coaches over the years to help you build that system. I mean, if you guys want to know, I mean, Brad has just shared with you the secret sauce to how he does that kind of volume year over year, month over month, for 15 plus years, doing literally 10,000 plus real estate transactions over the last 15 years. Guys, he just shared with you the tools, resources, and guidelines on how to do it for yourselves. All right. So based on that, like Brad said, just if you want to sign up for one of those strategy sessions, www.mxlcoach.com/strategy. There's a web form there. You're also welcome to post a request for a strategy session in the chat box or in the Q&A field here in the interface. This webinar, go to webinar interface. Just let us know you'd like the strategy session. Give us the best contact phone number and email so that we can get something scheduled for you, and we'll reach out to you to grab those appointments. The best numbers to get a hold of us is a toll-free number. You can get a hold of our scheduling department, extension 102, or Rick Jones, our sales director, who is at extension 109, if you want to call in to get that appointment scheduled directly immediately after the webinar. Otherwise, guys, there's a couple of things that I wanted to share with you just real quick. Brad, if you wouldn't mind bumping to the next slide. Upcoming webinars in the series. We're going to be taking a break over the holidays. I'll be sending out, by the way, I'll be sending out a special gift to all of you here shortly later this week with some buzz ideas that you can get started with a plan that is going to culminate with a 2-hour workshop that I have great privilege and honor of welcoming Greg Frost and Renee Rodriguez to a special 2-hour webinar on Thursday, January the 10th, and it is going to be at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central Time, a little bit later in the day than our normal time slot. You can still get access to sign up for that information, the same place that you signed up for today's program by going to the www.mxlcoach.com/webinars. You will also be receiving an email a little bit later today with some of the free tools that Brad has mentioned to you, as well as being able to go to the Make the Phone Ring Again website if you want to get copies of his 33 Touch and his Magic Reconnect letter and the tips for writing the perfect handwritten note card. Tools and resources will be coming to you after the fact as well. So a lot of great things coming up. We've had a great year. It's been fun to see this group come together. Our goal with starting this entire webinar series was to create a community of learning and development where we all support each other and we all work together as a team to grow to the next level. And so we're real excited about the progress. Make sure you set aside the time for that special 2-hour program with Greg Frost, Renee Rodriguez, that we're going to be walking you through how to build a detailed plan of action for 2013 to make it your best year ever. Okay, so last thing that we always end the programs with on these webinars, take a few minutes right now before you jump into your next phone call, before you open up your email and see what you've missed over the last 45 minutes, take another 30 seconds to write out your action plan for what you heard today. Decide what was the one thing. You'll always have the opportunity to come back and review this recording again. Brad shared a ton of great ideas with you, but pick the one idea that's most valuable to you that you want to implement first. Okay? Decide what that idea is, the thing that you want up and running in your business literally tomorrow. Second thing is decide what action you need to take to make that change in your daily business and what you do on a daily basis. What are the action items? Maybe it's go to Brad's website and download the free tools. Maybe it is calling a coach and or going to the website, signing up for the strategy session to get a little more point-by-point guidance. The next thing could be, what is the next thing, planning it out. Thirdly, is by when do you want to have that action item implemented? And then there's a fourth bonus that's not on your screen, but the fourth bonus is find somebody to hold you accountable, whether it's one of the coaching members, whether it's a colleague from this webinar, whether it's a buddy in your office or a manager, whether it's your spouse. Make a promise to somebody that you're going to implement this one key idea. Maybe it's the five calls a day. You're just going to make a commitment that you're going to log how many calls a day you make, and you're going to make a commitment to reach out to 5 people in your database. Just as simple as Brad said, go through your database from A to Z, the simple Reconnect call approach strategy that Brad mentioned to you earlier, and just make that commitment, and then tell somebody that that's your commitment, and ask them to hold you accountable and to follow up with you in a week or 2 weeks and ask you how you're doing on it. When you make a promise to somebody else, it's a lot harder to break promises to somebody else than it is to break the promises we make to ourselves. It's kind of what I call the running buddy concept. How many of you have a goal of losing some weight coming up on January 1st? We all set New Year's resolutions. But, you get up, you do it by yourself. January 2nd, you get up. January 3rd, you're kind of sore. Get up and do it. January 4th, it's cold and wet and nasty out, and it's been snowing, and but you're tired, you're sore, you're worn out, you roll over, you go back to sleep, and you don't exercise, right? How much harder would it be to do that if you knew that your running buddy was going to be showing up on your doorstep at 5:30 to drag you out of bed and go jogging? That's what we mean by that accountability, the magic of that, and what it can do for you. Last thing is, guys, watch for the upcoming webinar series. Go to the website, www.mxlcoach.com/webinar. One final thought for the year. The Maximum Acceleration team and I wish you all the happiest of holidays, the merriest of Christmases, and the most prosperous of New Years. Anything we can do to help you make 2013 your best year ever, do not be afraid or do not hesitate to reach out to us and ask. The only dumb questions are the ones we don't ask. So